2, 1.
Hey guys, sorry I'm not here. You know I'm out of town, but we're gonna do the best that we can. So we're gonna go ahead and take some notes. At this time, my algebra class, you guys should be getting a paper, or you should have already gotten a paper. And this paper already has your notes kind of already done for you. And as soon as my computer gets going, there it goes. Now you see it in front of you. I hope you guys are okay and everything's good. I know it's going to be a little crazy doing this because we've never done it before, but I want to make sure you're still getting your assignment. So today should be Thursday, and on Friday of last week, you guys did a little bit of practice with quadratics. We learned the quadratic formula on Thursday. You did some practice with the sub on Friday. On Monday, we did the cut and paste where you found the pieces. And we worked a lot with the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula basically solves or finds the solution to any quadratic function. And if you notice the top of your paper, it says quadratic solutions. Part, and I think this time we should be on Part 4, correct. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one. And this is a new method. And remember on the notes from quadratics, there was 3 different methods. So we're going to go with this one. Before I start, I'm going to let you know that these videos go for 10 minutes, then they stop, and then you're going to have to click on the next video. So I hope I saved them correctly. And when I put the titles, I'll put factoring part 1, factoring part 2, and part 3, depending on how long it takes us to get through this. You should be following along. Let's see, who do I need to tell? Angel, are you paying attention? Let's see, who else? Victor, pay attention to the screen. Let's see, 8th period. This is going for 3rd and 8th. So let's see, Fernie, are you watching the screen? Melanie Scott, are you paying attention? There's a lot of you out there. So if I call you by name during the class, be ready to answer. So let's get going. So first of all, on your screen, you should see quadratic solutions parts, and let's go ahead and fill it in. This is going to be part 4, and I'm going to write with a Sharpie so that maybe it'll be a little bit better to see. So it's part 4, and we're going to talk about factoring, solving quadratic solutions by factoring. Yep, I got to work on my spelling. You know that. By factoring. So we're going to start with doing the factoring by figuring out what factoring is. So over here on this line, go ahead and fill it in. So we have factoring. Factoring is blank, blank of blank. So it is the inverse or opposite. Inverse or opposite of, you know this, we use it for leftovers of, let's see if you guys remember, FOIL, foil, aluminio. And it doesn't mean foil that you wrap up your leftovers. It's an acronym that represents something. Let's see, right now in your head, you should be thinking, let me see. Think you should be thinking first, outer, inner, last. And what do we use this for? Let's review it a little bit. We use it for multiplying what? Anybody remember? It starts with a B and it means 2. I hope somebody said binomials. It's when you multiply binomials. And there's 2 different ways to multiply binomials. And let me just put a little example here so that you remember. Remember when we did this and this, multiplying binomials, and you did something like x plus a and x plus b? Remember that? Those were binomials. You had 2 terms and you multiplied them together using FOIL. We also had the rectangle method. Remember rectangle method. And the last one was FOIL. And I'm not going to go over what FOIL is because you have your notes that you can go back and look under. But I do want to quickly go over how to do FOIL because some of us didn't like it, but we still did it anyways, or we chose the rectangle method. So in this case, you do have to use the FOIL in order to be able, just have to remember how to use FOIL, not necessarily use it. So real quick, let's just do a little example. X plus 3 and x plus 4. So let me go ahead and zoom in here a little bit more because now we're going to focus on this area. So we're going to use FOIL. And how would I use FOIL? It's basically supersized distributive property. You're going to distribute the x to the first term, x to the outer term, 3 to the inner term, and 3 to the last term. So it's first, outer, inner, last. So if you go to that one, it's x times x, which would give us x squared, x times 4, which would give us 4x, 3 times x, which would give us 3x, and 3 times 4, which would give us the 12. Like I said, nothing new, something we've already covered. And if I simplify, what would I have to simplify? Yep, at this point, you should have said 4 x's plus 3 x's would give us 7 x's. So that would be x squared plus 7x plus 12. And you're done simplifying it. You can't simplify anymore. So at that point, you're pretty much done. But my question is, where did the 7x come from? How did the 7x come to be? So where did it come from? This 7x, where did it come from? Where did it come from? Where did it come? Oops, I can't even see it. Where did it come from? Well, it came from the two middle terms. How did the two middle terms create a 7? What did you do? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? We added. In this case, the two middle terms sometimes can either be added or subtracted based on their signs, but the two middle terms that we have underlined here, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in like a little rectangle, those two middle terms created your 7x. So those two middle terms are going to have something to do with the factoring. And if you think back, there was one class that I kind of went ahead and showed you, and it was way easy to factor, but I'm not exactly sure which class it was. So if I did, then you guys, this is pretty much a review. So the two middle terms are the ones that tell you how to get the B term. So we have your A term, your B term, and your C term. And when you simplify the two middle terms, that gives you your B term, or the middle term, if you will. So let's go down here and let's start looking about how to factor. Let's just get into it. Factoring is really based off of the C. Usually we use the A and C the most. This time we're going to have C, and C is going to be the star. Let's see if I can draw a star. Don't take forever to draw your star, or don't draw a star. It's up to you. But C is the star. C is the one you want to focus on. C basically, in order to factor is going backwards. So we need to take this answer and we need to make it look like two binomials. Factor is going backwards. When you factor something, you're taking the trinomial and you're making it look like two binomials. You're going backwards. Working, I guess you could put working backwards. So you're trying to go back to see what it looked like originally. And in order to do that, we want to break down the factors of C. You want to break down the factors of C. C is going to control basically everything you want. And at the end of this, we want this to look like two binomials. We want this to look like two binomials, but how do I get it there? So we got to factor the 8. We're looking for two numbers that can be multiplied to give us 8. So we can multiply 1 and 8, and yes, 2 and 4, or 4 and 2. Remember, multiplication is commutative, so you can do either or. Now that you look at it, now you're looking for the two factors that you can add that will give you the middle term. So which two can I add to get the B term, the 6? 1 plus 8 is 9, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Yep, you're right. It's these two. So in order to create this trinomial, I need an x squared term. So I know that at this point I'm going to have an x and an x, because x times x is x squared. I know I need to create an 8, and I need to be able to add the two answers to create a 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 and the 4. And I'm going to put pluses in between because every number inside of that trinomial is positive. So I'm going to go ahead and put a plus and a plus here. So I'm done. You have your two factors. If you multiply x plus 2 times x plus 4, you end up with a trinomial of x squared plus 6x plus 8. Let's check it. So if we do the FOIL,